your story about standing in the stadium and, being a fan, being ready to like listen to your favorite band, and then all of a sudden your artwork, that gave me chills. Like,
Yeah.
it's time for another episode of Best of the Tour. This is the show that takes you behind the scenes of your favorite gig posters, tour merch, and the artists who bring it all to life. Let's start the show.
Welcome to Best of the Tour podcast. This is episode 5 entitled Heavy Metal Gears. This is an artist interview with the one and only Luke Preece, our new friend of the podcast from across the pond. Luke, welcome. Thank you for sitting down with us on this Sunday morning.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, this is really very cool. For us as poster collectors, and also fans of all different types of pop culture things, such as video games, action figures, and the like. If you had listened to some of our previous conversations with some other artists, we talk a little bit about those types of things. But today, if you're not familiar with Luke Preece, this is a great opportunity to get to know the man behind the decades of art and graphic design that he's been working on. But also, if you are a fan, peel back the curtain, get a little conversation with one of your favorite artists. So, Luke, thank you so much for joining us. Tell us a little bit about kind of how you got kicked off in graphic design and getting into gig posters, and where your career kind of took off.
Well, I guess like a lot of the stuff that I do now, I would say it's kind of a happy accident. Like none of it was like, it wasn't planned or anything. So I think a lot of artists will say the same. Always drawing as a kid, But at the same time as like drawing, I was into like music and playing guitar and just like creative. That side of the brain was I was just like that as a kid. Just had to be, making stuff, making noise with the guitar or drawing pictures essentially. And then from there, kind of like, I always remember like my mom told me a story from when I was really young. My school teacher at the end of the day, we had like art class in the afternoon, and then she pulled my mom aside and said, like, your son has a natural talent to draw, he can draw, kind of thing. And then from then on, I think my mom just kind of sort of really pushed it as a kid. And it was like, anything creative that I wanted to do, she would kind of, oh, you want guitar lessons? Let's have guitar lessons, Like I was in bands as a kid as well. So music was like a big part of stuff growing up. And like always going to gigs, so it wasn't always art. Like there was a time where I was trying to be a musician, like full time, did all that kind of stuff. So I was very sort of like in that scene, kind of probably like mid '90s into like early 2000, all while like still doing like drawing and then I was a graphic designer for a while. So I worked as a graphic designer from '98. Kind of working for like different studios. I started out as a junior. It's all kind of pretty kind of boring kind of corporate work, I would say. And this was before like digital like drawing tablets and stuff. This is all just like mouse clicking layouts, like just like typical kind of graphic design work. And then as the years went by, I ended up getting a job working for 2000 AD Comics in Oxford. And there I got to work. It's like the Judge Dredd comic, essentially. I ended up kind of working there as a graphic designer. So it wasn't illustration based. It was just more like putting the comics together with the editor, getting the graphic novels put together. So like I get to just look at all this amazing artwork all the time, like by these like legendary artists like Brian Bolland and like Steve Dillon, like stories that are written by Alan Moore. And it was just like amazing stuff. And that company that owns 2000 AD, Rebellion, they also make video games. So after working on the comic for a while, I then moved over to video games and then started doing UI art for like in-game menus. And then that kind of then went into like concept art. So I started doing like concept art for video games. And this was kind of like over a kind of 15-year period, all this stuff happened. Yeah. And then whilst doing that, I got myself a Wacom Intuos tablet and was just like, oh, well, I can draw digitally now, and it's just cool, And then I kind of got onto the fact there's this whole like gig poster scene, and then I just kind of did a few gig posters, and kind of here I am now.
That's a really interesting kind of unique sort of transition or sort of dovetail between something like concept art for video games and gig posters. Have you found there to be sort of like a relational understanding of like how you create there? Because I mean, on one hand, I don't know a whole lot about the video game concept world, but I've played video games pretty much my whole life. So I know like things start out with, ideas. Like I think back as far as like to movies and Star Wars, like with like the concept stuff done by Ralph McQuarrie that came forward, right, to what we see on the screen. And to some extent, some of the things that we've always kind of admired about artists such as yourself and the peek behind the curtain sometimes we get on gig posters is that sort of evolution from like sketch of idea to final product.
Yeah,
and
sure.
So is that sort of a little bit of a common theme in how you create and when you're creating a gig poster? Is it similar to that sort of concept art stage?
So there'll always be like that rough concept stage that so if like let's say Metallica come to me, they want me to do a show poster. I think a lot of artists would do the same. You just create I always do like a little thumbnail rough for myself, like in my sketchbook, like with pencils. And then I'll do, if I like the idea, I'll then take that to more of like a rough that I can then present to the client, and then they'll feedback. The beauty of gig posters is most of the times it's just like do what you want within reason, like as long as you're not doing anything massively offensive. So there's this nice kind of freedom to it. But yeah, there'll always be a rough stage, like a concept, like you say. And I almost do that for myself to make sure it works because doing the actual final artwork can take sometimes it can take me like weeks to like finish just one piece. So,
What was that transition then from the video games? What was that first gig poster that you got the opportunity to work on where you went, oh, wow, this could be like next evolution in my career?
Yeah, I did. Funnily enough, I did is Danzig for his Blackest of the Black festival. So they asked me to do a logo and a poster. So I did the Blackest of the Black logo. It was weird because like the way that was done, it was a very sort of old school kind of way of doing something for like someone like Glenn Danzig. It was very like this kind of garage vibe. Like it's just, oh yeah, we like the logo you've done on the poster. Like we're going to use that for the festival. I was like, really? Okay, fine. It's not that good, but okay, go for it. And like, I think when I did that as well at the time, I didn't really know what I was doing. I was just kind of like, I had an opportunity and I was just like, okay, but I didn't really make a lot of money out of it or anything. It was just more of like, this is a cool thing to be part of. Still doing the day job. It was just like a fun little thing to do on the side. And then that kind of then like sort of just led on to more and more. And then it was like movie posters and other stuff.
Mm-hmm. And so one of the bands that you're very well known for, obviously, is your work with Metallica.
Sure.
How did that relationship come up? Because I mean, you've got a depth of a catalog with them.
I think like with Metallica, again, I think it was like word of mouth. People had seen the work they'd done on other for other bands and stuff. And I got into a conversation with someone. I'm a huge Metallica fan. I've loved them since I was a kid. I grew up in the middle of nowhere in the sticks in the UK. It was like my entertainment. This is like early internet days. I think like kind of before the internet. So I would have been like early 90s when I started getting into Metallica. So it was like Black Album era.
Oh yeah.
So without realizing it, like Metallica are kind of like so ingrained in who I am as a person, I think. I don't know. It just, when I did that first piece, it just kind of naturally just sort of came out of me. It was like it was subconsciously in there, I think. And then they could see that how much I liked the band, and then fans then related to that piece of artwork, which was And Justice for All, the 30th anniversary of And Justice for All. yeah, and then just kind of went from there, and I'm just working on Metallica stuff all the time. It was like I've done loads of other Metallica pieces that aren't even out yet, like they're coming out like next year. So it's just kind of the gift that keeps giving, I think. Metallica
I
stuff.
love this post that you did on your Instagram. And for our listeners, you can check Luke out at Luke Preece Art. That's Preece, all one word, Luke Preece Art. You had this post from 2023, and it was sort of a series of items that you've done for Metallica. And your comment was, I will never get tired of making stuff for Metallica. And
No, never.
I think that's the total vibe that I get from talking to you about these things, but also just looking at your work. I mean, as somebody, like, I was a child of the 80s, grew up on kind of, hairband music that faded into a little bit heavier metal stuff that then kind of morphed into grunge for me, that then translated into jam band stuff. So I've been all over the spectrum on music, but Metallica was always one of those staples that was just always there. From the time I was young. And then I had a roommate in college that was an uber Metallica fan, and I just was like, I'm barely a hack, but I mean, he was training himself on guitar to play the music there. But I digress, and I get a little tangenty in talking. My apologies, but
That's okay.
Your work for Metallica, particularly to me, is like the epitome of what you think of when you think of like a metal, like rock album or gig poster. I mean, you just capture that sort of, man. Just rawness and the skeleton, but these aren't like fragile or frail skeletons. These are like powerful metal skeletons, like the kind of things you want on like, you look at this and you're like, that is a rock and roll poster. I mean, that is a rock and roll cover. Like, if I had a metal band, this is what I would want it to look like on my album. So I mean, just incredible work.
Thanks, man. Yeah. It's great. I love it. It's like I said to you, it's like my job is a happy accident. It's just, I think it's just I'm very passionate about these things, and it's just become the day job now. I like I said, I used to work in video games, and I still do freelance to studios and do work. But I do it kind of like on my own terms now. So I just sort of like try to work on projects that I'm really like passionate about. That's kind of the whole idea of this is like this studio I'm in now. This is literally like my little cave at the bottom of my garden. So like my house is like up there, and I'm just down here in my little den, like with all my nerdy stuff. So yeah, it's great.
Thanks to our friends over at the Rock Poster Society. If you don't know TRPS, they are a nonprofit behind the world's longest-running rock poster collection shows. That includes the Festival of Rock Posters in San Francisco, which is a bucket list thing for Mike and I to go to. But they have been championing the art of poster for decades. They support both the artists and those people who collect them and preserve them. If you want to get involved, go over to trps.org. if you want to become a member and check out their upcoming events.
Check them out.
We asked sometimes on when we talk to artists, like times of day that you're like most inspired. Do you have any particular time of day, or is it like I'm going to get into my studio and just let kind of the creativity flow?
I wouldn't. I mean, I'm quite strict with like I'm like 9 to 5, so I'm like married with kids. So I get up in the morning, I walk the dog first thing, I come home, I kind of get the kids ready for school, take the kids to school, and then I'm like at my desk 9 in the morning, like ready to go. But yeah, some mornings I'll just sit and I'll like, you know, it doesn't like stuff just doesn't happen, or you know, it's funny like I've had it before where like ideas have come to me like in the middle of the night. Like I'm literally like in my sleep, like
sit up,
like because I can't switch off. You know, I think it just my brain is wired in this way that I'm constantly like kind of creating stuff in my head.
Have you ever read the book Big Magic by author Elizabeth Gilbert?
No.
She has this whole concept that the world has these sort of universal creativity ideas that are swirling around, and that like us as humans are the vessels that are able to push out this idea.
Because I've read a book. Sorry, carry on.
No,
No, go ahead.
And when it comes to creative ideas, it's sort of like we don't. Maybe if you look at it from like an energy perspective, or like I said, the idea, the creative output has to be done by somebody. And
Sure.
so whether it goes to you and you're the vessel that has the ability and the creativity and the capacity
Yeah.
to like birth that,
Yeah.
or oftentimes she tells a whole story about how she had a concept of a book that she never ended up writing it, but had like notes. And then a few years later, another one of her writer friends wrote almost like the identical book, yet they've never spoken about the concept, the idea.
Right.
And I feel like sometimes in the middle of the night, I keep like a little notebook by my bedside because sometimes I'm not a super creative person, but oftentimes like an idea will come to me and I'll go,
Yeah.
oh, write it down.
Yeah, because I was just going to say, I read Rick Rubin's book recently, and he talks about that exact thing. About
Oh, yeah.
there's this kind of weird creative energy, because he's kind of a bit of a hippie, isn't he, as a character? So he just sort of like talks about how he believes, yeah, same thing. There's this kind of creative energy, and like creative people are like these vessels that kind of like harness this energy somehow, and then it comes out. Yeah. I don't really think that deeply on this stuff. I think it's just, for me, I'm just into stuff, and I just like to make cool shit that I'm into, and if I can pay my mortgage doing that, then that's great.
That's incredible. Is there anything, Luke, that you would kind of say in words of guidance to maybe some of the young artists out there who might be listening, who are maybe trying to break in somewhere? You've had such a robust career of
Sure.
industries and sort of diverse portfolio of work. Anything takeaway wise you could offer to any of those types of folks listening?
Yeah, I think we're in a kind of really weird time at the moment with creativity, with the whole like AI thing. I literally signed a contract for some new work the other day that explicitly said, do not use AI in your work, which I wouldn't anyway, because I just don't do that. So I do feel like we're in this like weird thing. And I think the era of growing up in the 80s and the 90s, I think we were kind of like that perfect, all this amazing like pop culture was happening at that time. And the internet hadn't really happened just yet, didn't start coming until the kind of mid to late 90s, I guess. So now it's like a whole younger generation are just born into like everything is there and you can just do what you want. And that's amazing. But I do kind of worry sometimes that maybe it promotes like this kind of like instant like gratification or laziness maybe. So I would say to anyone that's younger, like find your passion and just like find everything out that you can about that thing that you're passionate about, and like kind of pour your heart and soul into it if that's something that you really, whatever that is, if you're a musician or you're an artist or you're a writer, do the work. Like, and it's not something that I feel like sometimes social media and AI, I don't want to like get into the whole AI conversation, but I kind of feel like it just kind of makes, I think it just kind of fools people into thinking they can just make things happen like overnight a little bit. I think what people don't see, like younger generations maybe don't see, is that actually like us older generation maybe have kind of like spent like 20 odd years to get to this point. It's not like a thing that's happened overnight, and there's a lot of failure along the way, and the failure should be like a fuel that you can pick yourself up from and kind of keep going, like you say, like, yes, I get to do this cool work for Metallica, but in the lead up to that, there was like 20 years of like failing.
Right.
And there was no social media or anything to like, it's like the last 5 years for me has been amazing because social media has allowed me to really put my work out there. When I went to art college, there wasn't like a concept artist course or a course to do like video games or a course to like, it was just like you either do like graphic design or fine art, and that was it. It wasn't like it, like the opportunities now are amazing. I've got kids, so I kind of like think about this a lot, and I worry about, I've got 2 girls, so I kind of, you can clearly see they're quite creative as well. So I'm just like, always like, do the work kind of thing. Yeah. Like put the effort in and just read stuff. Like, be inspired by like other things that are out there and go back to the old greats, you know. I'm like a big fan of like Michael Whalen and like Pusshead and like Jim Phillips and all these like amazing illustrators that like put the work in. Yeah. I could talk about this stuff for like hours.
Yeah, no, I would say, I mean, you said you had 20 years of like failing. And I think the other thing to note in there is you talked about being really, truly sort of authentically passionate about, you know, the things that you're passionate about and finding a way to dovetail that into your work. Because I would say in those 20 years, probably plus of like going through different iterations, you were also absorbing, right, the music of Metallica, like from a fan perspective. And so I think that kind of thing sort of alters your DNA, you know, it puts you into that space that, you know, you might be very, like, you probably have ideas upon ideas upon ideas for Metallica gig work and t-shirts and all those things, right? And that stuff I think comes from a very real, authentic place.
It was all just, you know, like I say Metallica, but there was just like all the others, you know, there was like lots of bands and music and, you know, film and, you know, I was like original Star Wars kid and, you know, like old like 80s cartoons like Thundercat Tales, all that kind of stuff.
Apparently we were raised in the same household. Just not different as the part, right? Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
And in the UK, like in the 80s, you know, there was like we did love all those like American cartoons and stuff. They were like huge here. Like, you know, we loved them, and all the comics, like the real Ghostbusters.
Oh yeah.
And then I'm listening to like Metallica and Guns N' Roses and Faith No More and like Pantera but then also like, you know, listening to like Black Sabbath and like Led Zeppelin and David Bowie, The Cure. Like, it wasn't all just metal, you know, and like old hip hop, like.
Yep. Well, you mentioned it's sort of like an incubator. It's like all these elements. I'm like, yeah, these are all the elements of my childhood. Like literally everything you rattled off. And then I think about like the artwork that, you know, Mattel had commissioned back in the 80s for the original like Castle Grayskull and the original sort of Masters of the Universe, He-Man type of stuff. And it was like, that stuff was as metal as it got in a way. I mean, it's a little bit back to sort of like the Frank Frazetta and Conan portraits and things. But those even, I think of like, what's the character for Death Dealer from Frazetta? You know, it's like, and for listeners that don't know what I'm talking about, check out Frank Frazetta as an artist. There's actually a museum of his artwork in, I think, East Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania.
Sure, okay.
Again, total tangent, but like these were sort of like foundational building blocks of like, I think when we were kids, it's like what you absorb, what you consume, what you see.
Yeah.
I mean, to that point, Luke, like you're talking about today's sort of instant availability and gratification. And I'm right there with you. I mean, we have 2 kids as well. And it's like, when I was a kid, there were very limited options on television. It was, you know, G.I. Joe, followed by He-Man, followed by like eventually Ninja Turtles came on the scene. And
I think it's like, sorry, carry on. I didn't want to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
I think like now we kind of, I say this stuff like it's not a negative. It's amazing. Like everything is just kind of there now, isn't it? It's like everything is out there. You can like find out what everyone's had for breakfast, like every like actor or whatever or musician. Whereas like when we were kids, I'm gonna again like sound really old, but it was like to find that stuff out, you really had to like dig through magazines, and you know it was like, you know, that might be like whatever that magazine you know. Luckily I got to work for 2000 AD when I was older, but I read 2000 AD as a kid. That comic was like a big thing, you know. And you just mentioned Frazetta, you know. Off the back of Frazetta, you had you had like artists like Simon Bisley kind of came out of that, which was like he was in 2000 AD, you know. So that was all the stuff that I was sort of soaking up. But to get your hands on that stuff, it was like you had to go somewhere to the comic store or whatever and pick it up. It wasn't like just get your phone out your pocket, look at it. Oh, I can make that with AI. That's kind of like that's the kind of situation we're in now. I just worry. I just worry that it's just going to promote this kind of laziness a little bit. I'm not saying that like all the next generation can do that. I just hope that they like sort of look to the amazing artists that create stuff from scratch.
Well, we wouldn't be where we are today without kind of the foundations of those inspirational artists that, like you had mentioned. I mean, we talk to our kids too, the same thing, like we hear the I'm bored. I mean, I know the same thing, like as a kid in the
Same.
80s, like go outside,
Yeah.
go do something,
Yeah.
go draw,
We go,
create, whatever. And I think, boredom is really important. And I think that because we're sort of in this constant state of influx of information and of
yeah.
imagery and of sounds, like sitting in that quiet space, I think that that's where that natural creativity is born out of.
Sure.
And the need to fill your time. My friends and I, we used to, when we were bored, we'd go grab our friend's camcorder and run out in the field and pretend we were in either like cops or like later it was the Blair Witch Project, because that was like a big,
Yeah.
how to get your, but that's, I mean, we would create our own TV shows.
Yeah.
And I think, nowadays, again, I think we, even as adults, we walk that line of the need to unplug and find creative outlets. Mike plays guitar, I play the ukulele.
Cool.
We both really we love music. I mean, that is one thing that we've been together for over 25 years now, but we've always gone to concerts together and discovered new bands and music, and collecting concert poster art for us as a hobby has kind of grown into something that we continue to find joy. And for us, when we look around our space, we put our posters on the wall.
Yeah, sure.
Now we have also overflow as well. But, between that and finding things to do with our time that aren't necessarily like online, it's getting
tough.
fewer and far between.
Yeah, I mean, I'm guilty of the whole like doom scrolling, like put the phone down, stop, don't read the comments, just put it down, post and ghost and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, but like, I don't know, I feel like a lot of positives have come out of this. I kind of wouldn't have the career I have now if it wasn't for, this kind of online kind of culture that a lot of people kind of live in now. But I think it's because we kind of grew up before having that. So you have this greater appreciation of like kind of integrity and like, what am I trying to say? Like kind of just genuine kind of creativity, I guess. And like you say, being bored as a kid, I used to be, like I said, I grew up in the sticks in like the countryside. There was nothing to do. It was like get on your bike and kind of like ride to your friend's house, do what they're doing, and then just go and play in a field somewhere.
Yeah.
Or like, like just find things to smoke. That was kind of what we used to do. Oh, can I drink this? What happened? That kind of stuff. And then when I'm at home, I'm like playing my like ZX Spectrum like computer, or drawing pictures and listening to Slayer or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But that was my kind of escape. And to me, that was like such this kind of magical like world. So because it was like, listening to like American bands like Slayer and stuff like and Metallica and whatnot. It was such like it's like an other world. It's like the other side of like the ocean away. So in the UK, it's just the opposite to where I'd live. So it had all this almost like magical kind of like fantastical kind of thing about it. So they're American and it's cool and the music's really aggressive, and I just live in this like boring little like village. So I think that was like really exciting to me as a kid.
Yeah. Well, tell us a little bit about what you've got going on these days, Luke, if there's any projects or drops coming up. I know we touched a little bit sort of in the pre-discussion about impact of tariffs. This is a question we get a lot.
Sure.
From fans and as fans ourselves,
Collectors
trying to obtain prints and items from overseas. It seems like for us as sort of consumers, there's always a state of flux. It's changing. And so
is it okay for you guys? I don't know how are you ordering stuff and it's coming in okay? I'd be interested to know actually.
Yeah.
Yes, I would say I haven't experienced any specific cancellation of a product.
Okay, that's good.
But in the hobbyist front, from like, action figure type things, I mean, I've had things that I import everywhere from Japan or China. And depending on the month, gotten different notices of either this is delayed, or we're trying to sort this out, or there's a surcharge for a tariff. And most of that, by the way, for other listeners, I don't know about their experience, but most of that has been relatively minor, something like on a, $30 action figure, there might be a $3.20 upcharge, which when you do the math, it's like a 10%, hit.
Yeah.
But also it's not something that's going to drive me to cancel the order personally. Other things that I would say just from personal observation, in the space here with gig posters and things like that, we are seeing some prices tick up here or there at the shows. And then, going deeper, we're hearing things like, well, it might not be necessarily the cost of the paper, but when you get into the cost of the printing ink and the sort of component parts that go into the printing ink, ink has gone up in cost. And so artists are experiencing maybe an uptick in what it costs to print a gig poster or whatnot. So those are just little nuggets that we've picked up along the way. And I would say by and large, it feels like at least there's been a cooling down of, is everything delayed forever because of tariff?
I will. I think because we're in this kind of weird crossover now, and I had to delay I've got 2 Metallica sales that they were meant to kind of go out like last month, but then I think the tariff thing on the UK was kicking in at on the 29th of August.
Okay.
So I had to, about a week or so before, just because I hadn't been keeping on top of things, I just advertised this print sale's coming up soon, like I usually would. And I have a lot of collectors that buy my Metallica stuff from the US. And one of those posters was the Houston show. So I just had to postpone that print sale because I didn't want to ship out a load of orders and then them all just get rejected and get sent back again, because it's just an admin nightmare for me. And because we weren't our postal services over here weren't quite set up, so they just postponed shipping anything to America. So it's okay, I can't send anything until they know what they're doing, which now it seems I send a lot of stuff with Royal Mail and they seem to have kind of got something in place. So I had some leftover orders. There was about 20 something orders that I had to go to the US, which I shipped out last week. They're non-Metallica orders, just other orders off my store. Those have gone. I checked this morning actually. I just checked all of the tracking just to see which ones had got through and whatnot. There's a few that have actually just say they're just pending. They're stuck in customs. So I'm I don't know whether that means they're going to get a big tariff stuck on them or whether they're going to be fine. When you put you get given a unique code as Royal Mail. You have to type. You put this code in, and then posters come up as 0 cost on tariff. Apparently, so I'm told. So you have to pay an admin fee, which is I don't know. I think it was £1.50 or something, which is $2, I guess. Which I pay my end. So I had to sort of take the hit on that because the customers had already bought the prints. Anyway, I sent them out. So we'll see. Hopefully they get through. If they all get through okay, I'll put my Metallica sale up in the next week or so. So I'm still getting messages from people going, when's the Houston posters going up? I'm I'm not, I want to sell them. I'm sat on a load of stuff. It's revenue for me, for the business. So I kind of need some return on the art. But I don't just want to start selling stuff to people if it's going to get to the other end and then someone's going to get an $80 tariff. There's all these horror stories of $80 to $200 on a poster. I'm not doing that to people. That's horrendous. So I just need to wait and just make sure everything's going through. So
we wish you luck with that. Hopefully they do go through. Again, this is just personal experience. I don't exactly know for all, but I haven't personally experienced any tariff on an individual poster, but I have experienced those notes, and Erica's nodding that you're saying pending. So just so you know, and for our listeners, even if it's shipped from a US address to a US address. For some reason, I think in the sorting or the processing, size and shape of poster tubes, or that
Interesting.
extremely long box, and I think throws off the postal service here a little bit for a second. Because we have had friends of ours who have been at a poster, or a show out west, and they're trying to mail us a poster from Georgia, which is not but two states away from where we are.
I think there might be a bit of a backlog as well. I think going on, so maybe they're just they just got, because of this whole thing, they just have to check everything. But this code that I've been given, I've been assured that they're just, as long as it's got the code on it, it's fine.
Awesome.
It's fine. It's just about time from here.
Yeah.
Apparently.
For the fans that are patiently waiting, I think, like I said, as collectors, when we have the opportunity to go buy directly from the artist, we kind of know, it's usually, we have some other artists that we've collected. It's like, oh, well, it's me and my wife and we're rolling up the posters and we're shipping them out, or it's just me. So we know as fans that we'll be as patient as we can be to get the art that we want to get, so that we can support our favorite artists.
Yeah. I think it will sort itself out. It's just we're in this kind of weird crossover at the moment. So it's like myself and there's a few other artists, UK artists as well, that are in a similar situation. We're all talking to each other have you figured out how you're going to send stuff? And it's I've had some US collectors that have sending me horrible messages that I'm doing this on purpose to make a point. It's I'm not doing this on purpose. I'm trying to make sure everyone gets their posters and doesn't have huge fees the other end. It's just not a political thing. It is what it is. We just got to just sit out and just wait.
And at the end of the day, it's really for us as the collector to hopefully not get that big sticker tariff, if that might come through, right? Because at the end of the day, I've seen people who have received a notice before they even got their item of it's almost like a hostage fee. You pay us this and we'll give you your item, or else it's just going to go back. And so it's hard. It's hard as widely international as we've been for consumption of things. We've sort of had a lot of freedom and ability to get items from all over the globe without much challenge, really.
Yeah.
And now again, for collecting purposes, whether you're collecting pins, and I know you've got skateboard decks and other types of tactile art. These aren't things that are super easy nowadays to pop in the mail and show up across the world.
No. I think we've just been in a very fortunate position for several years now, where you can just ship stuff everywhere. But it's the same in Europe. That after Brexit here, that kind of changed things as well. So, that's. It's that's sort of settled down and it's fine now. So I think it'll be the same with this. I think eventually it'll just sort itself out. Just got to wait a little longer. I just sat on all these prints that are taking up room, and it's I just need to ship these out to people that want them, So.
Oh yeah.
And I think we were talking about the Metallica Houston print, and that's the drop that you've got coming up here.
Yeah.
Shortly, right?
Yeah, I it went up a few weeks ago, and then I had to postpone. And so to anyone that's messaging me, it is coming. I will literally I'm hoping to announce a sale date, hopefully with it in the next week or so. So
awesome.
And they normally just sell out straight away. So
I was gonna say, good luck if you're a listener. Good luck. This is one of those pieces that I can see why there's so much hype around. This is from the looks like Houston, Texas shows.
Yeah, and
it's sort of a Gravedigger type of just absolute metal, almost just looking like he's maybe end of time, kind of picking
it's
up
kind of I normally kind of, when I do Metallica pieces, I kind of try and it's normally a song from their back catalog will inspire, and that one was kind of inspired by Ecstasy of Gold, which is the intro that they use before they come on stage, and the song The Unforgiven. That was kind of
very cool.
So it had this kind of almost cowboy kind of vibe. He's almost like a grave digger kind of character.
Do you do that with a lot of the gig prints that you do? You listen to their catalog and then you get inspiration from a song?
Yeah. So I did Black Sabbath's final show with Ozzy in Birmingham, which is kind of local to where I'm from. So yeah, I was fortunate to work on that, and that was
That's
themed around a lot of the Sabbath imagery and songs from that kind of early like Aussie sort of era, I guess.
I think that type of attention to detail, right? Being a fan yourself of the music and then tying in the actual music, the song lyrics or song titles into the work is like this perfect storm for poster collectors.
Sure.
Like, speaking for myself, I mean, when there's an artist, like we have a room that we sit in when we podcast. Erica and I happen to be very big fans of the Dave Matthews Band, and a lot of our poster collecting really started there. And there's an artist, his name's Miles Sang, and he's done about 11 pieces. You know Miles. He's done 11 pieces for DMB, and we have them all. And it's one of those things that's like, when he releases one, it's like, yep, need to get that one too, because it kind of, you know, fills in with the collection. And I think I see that same sort of camaraderie with the band, with the music.
Yeah.
At a level that is just, it's more than just a gig print. You can tell, like, you really understand what's happening with the band, with the genre, with the music, with the album or the lyrics, and you bring that to life with what you do.
To that point, I try and work on stuff that I'm genuinely into. That's kind of, if someone comes to me with a band that I'm not like overly, not over familiar with or not overly into, I'm kind of like, I'm the wrong person for this.
Yeah.
So it's like I try and just stick to stuff that I'm into, whether it's a gig poster or a movie poster or whatever that is, you know.
What about movies right now for you? Is there something that's really exciting for you? Like, what kind of genre of movies? And I saw Jaws. You did one for a poster for Jaws. That's so cool because, again, talk about nostalgia.
When you ask Luke what movies he's into, just think of me. Because I look at this guy, he's got Star Wars stuff. He's got Dune. I mean, you know, if you're doing sci-fi stuff related to Dune, like you've come from.
Yes.
Yeah. I haven't done a Dune poster yet. I did like a little,
you're like
kind of
warming up.
Yeah, like a little sketch. I have got so the Jaws poster that was done with Vice Press here in the UK.
Very cool.
And that was fun to work on. I did a Jurassic Park poster as well. That was a fun one. I don't do many movie posters, so and when I do, it's sort of they seem to take a lot longer to do than a gig poster, because there isn't as much freedom. Obviously, you've got to kind of refer to the source material, and like the Jurassic Park piece I did, that went on for like forever. It seemed like, because they weren't happy with the way I'd drawn the raptors at first. They were quite different. I sort of did my own take on it, and then like Universal kind of pushed back, and it kind of went back and forth. Whereas gig posters, you just kind of like do your own thing. You know, it's kind of
freedom.
And then I have another movie poster coming up. And I'm working on a TV show at the moment, a very big TV show at the moment on Disney, and that's all I can say.
Very cool.
Okay, that's all we can say about that.
You'll probably, if you go onto my Instagram, you'll probably figure it out. Like, there's a little piece on there what that is.
Okay.
And then I've got another movie poster coming up for Vice Press, which I think a lot of people have figured out what that's going to be. It's a old horror movie involving a big werewolf.
Oh, okay.
Very cool.
One of my top 5. It's an amazing film.
That's incredible. And I think that's, again, it just keeps going back to kind of filling that cup for you of things that you love, that you get to do. Like, I mean, that is the pinnacle of, I think, when we talk to our kids, like, do the work that you love, you know, show up every day. You were talking about inspiring your kids to follow their dreams and be inspired by the things around them. And I think that is so, it's a visual sort of expression for us as collectors to be able to see like, wow, this artist must really love the band that we love too, because they get that, or there's this Easter egg, and that I think is, you know, if you're looking for inspiration in whatever that you do, whatever your day to day is, you know, I mean, if you can find those moments where it's like, wow, this is really cool, I get to do this. I think you're kind of shooting for that every day.
I think it's, and the other thing as well, it's like, you know, I did the day job was um, graphic design many years ago,
Yeah.
but the side hustle was playing in a band. And then when I stopped playing in bands, because playing in a band and trying to do it professionally is like just super hard because it's really tiring. And as much as I loved it, I had to kind of make that choice of like, I think I just need to like focus on the day job. And this kind of all kind of came back after I had kids. Because it was just like I was just exhausted. We had our first daughter, so and
That's
like
we have a running joke in our house. I'm sure you've seen being again, assuming right, but the Avengers, like the
yeah,
first Avengers movie, where Captain America tells Bruce Banner, "This would be a great time to get angry," and then
yeah.
Ruffalo turns around, he says, "That's my secret, Cap. I'm always angry." That's the joke in our house. I look at Erica and I was like, "That's my secret. I'm always tired.
Always
Like
tired.
I'm always tired."
Yeah.
People are like, "How do you do this and that?" There's a podcast here. We have another podcast, shameless plug, called Posters in Every Direction. We both work, our 8 to 8 gigs, and we have kids and we have dogs, and it's the people ask us things like, "Yeah, how do you do all this? And don't you get tired?" And that's my secret. I'm always tired. And that's what coffee's for, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I and then the side hustle then just kind of became like doing like music related work, like artwork. So it was kind of, and then that then turned into the main gig. So it was just like doing the day job, but trying to like keep my toe like dipped into this thing that I have this passion for on the side. And then it was like I dropped a few days on the day job to focus on that. And then before I knew it, it was like it just sort of started to take over. The money was coming in. I was like, I can live off this. This is cool. It's actually becoming a real thing now.
That's so cool.
I have like good and bad months where like there's not a lot of work on, there's not a lot of money coming in, but then like, it's on a feast or famine. So it's like quiet for long periods. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I got a big poster drop. Right. Okay. I can chill now. So you just have to get yourself into that mentality where you're not used to having that regular wage coming in like you do from a day job, like a 9 to 5, which took a while for me to kind of get used to at first. But yeah, and then off the back of this, like I've said earlier, I think we were talking earlier about video game work. I do freelance to video game studios, and the art budgets tend to be really good. So I work on Gears of War with Xbox a lot. And I'm working on the new video game at the moment that they're making. And that's great. I've been working with those guys since 2018. So these like doing the kind of gig poster, movie poster stuff kind of leads onto other little like interesting ventures as well. I did some stuff with Lionsgate, like Blu-ray covers for movies, like they do these like limited runs of that sort of stuff. The odd like comic book cover, and and skateboards, So like I work with Santa Cruz skateboards sometimes, and I loved Santa Cruz growing up, so that's amazing as well.
The skate deck thing is a whole
behind me there.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Godzilla one, that was for Santa Cruz. So did this whole like they did this like Godzilla like mashup.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So it's fun.
If you had, and this could be sort of any space in time, but if there was one band that you haven't done either like a gig poster work or skate deck or anything like that,
custom guitar,
or if there was one band out there, it could be, like I said, any point in time, past, present, who would it be?
I've been asked this question quite a few times. I always come back to I love the band The Prodigy. Like I've always loved The Prodigy, and I just think you could do some seriously cool visuals for that band. And I don't think enough artists do. Not just me. Like I just wish they would get more artists to do gig posters for them, because they're such this huge monster of a band. Especially here in the UK. I don't know how big they are in the US. I think they are pretty big. But I remember I was never really someone that was like into dance music. But I saw them in like 1996 at a festival in the UK, and they just blew my mind at how heavy they were. And yeah, I love The Prodigy. I have a lot of respect for them because they just tap into lots of different genres, I think. And I just think they could have some awesome visuals. So that is a
Awesome.
band. That's a band that I would love to. And I kind of feel like if I got into a conversation with Liam Howlett, like I feel like we'd get on because I feel like we're into like a lot of the same stuff.
Mhm.
Too. So.
Well, that's so it's so just exciting again because there's so much out there that like we as fans, you know, I love it because a lot of times we'll see an artist that we love that does music poster for the band that we may
Sure.
not be familiar with, and like so sometimes that's how I've gotten into other artists. So
Oh, I
one
love
of
that.
the yeah, it's really cool because it's sort of like a lot of people will pick it up hearing it on the radio. Well, I guess back in the day,
Right.
kids would hear it on the radio, but you know, you like Spotify playlists or Apple playlists and they have, you know, hey, if you like this band, you might also like this. But for us as collectors and as we grow and our portfolios and our collections grow with new artists coming on board for the bands that we follow, oftentimes I go and I'll look and see, okay, let's see here. Luke did work for the, oh, what's this band? That's a cool poster. And then
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, let me go listen to the music. And so, I mean, if bands are out there listening, you know, go out there and find artists that are unique and different to hopefully bring in more
Yeah.
listeners to the bands to show up to the shows and
think-
buy the APs.
I think a lot of bands as well, like, don't kind of understand the whole like AP kind of culture behind it as well. So I've had it before where I had a very large band come to me and ask me to work on some stuff for them. And you didn't get any APs and it was like a really like shitty deal. And it was just
Wow.
like, I'm not interested because it's like, and you don't even get credited as an artist and stuff. Like a band like Metallica or like a band like Pearl Jam, actually, I've done a couple of posters for Pearl Jam and they get it. Like, it's all about the artist. It's all about the APs. It's like, that's like Mr. T-shirt.
Yeah, Pearl Jam's one of those, like you mentioned, like their merch game is on point. We saw them in May when they were here, and I think they keep it at a very reasonable price for their poster for the fans, right?
Yeah.
And they have a lot of copies, but then yes, there's that AP availability and like almost like encouragement from their management of like, go visit and support the artists.
Because I think the fans of the band love that as well. So I think it just kind of creates this kind of like circle of like love between like the fans, the band, the artist. It's just like this really positive sort of thing. And Metallica do it as well. And the thing that I love about Metallica is what they don't tell you, which they didn't tell me, is you do the poster and then before they come on stage, they project your artwork throughout the stadium, like on these huge screens. And you're like,
wow.
So like,
oh, that's cool.
So I saw them at Donington a couple of years ago at Download Festival. They did the 2-day thing. They played the Thursday night and the Saturday night. And me and my wife went and they looked after us. We got like snake pit passes and all this kind of stuff. And I'm stood in the snake pit waiting for them to come on stage. And then I look and like my art is just like everywhere. And there's like 100,000 people in the field. And I'm like, this is crazy. I did not expect this to happen.
Right. Yeah.
So it was this full circle moment as a fan of the band. Like I first saw Metallica when I was like 13 or 14 years old. So for me, it was just like this. If I could tell my young self that this was going to be a thing when I was older, it was just, I love all that kind of stuff because it just makes you like enjoy what you're doing even more as well. Like you just, as a fan and as an artist.
Yeah, you're consuming it, you're absorbing it, right? But you're also part of it. Like you're part of that ecosystem of the art, of the music and everything that surrounds it. Because I mean, I've seen you do like jacket covers for vinyl, right, as well.
Yeah.
And you're literally kind of interwoven, right, with that music, which is so cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just a cool thing. Like those bands, like I said, I've worked with some other bands and, it's very much just kind of like work for hire thing. You just kind of get paid a fee and then that's that, I'd rather kind of not do those really. I mean, if they come to you for like an apparel design, like for a t-shirt or a hoodie or whatever, then that's fine. But like gig posters, it's like, come on, like this is kind of how it works. It's like, everybody knows the deal. Like just talk to like Metallica's management or Pearl Jam's management, like they'll tell you how it works.
That's how they write the book on it. Let's pass that along to all the other bands out there. Take note that these are like the pinnacle types of bands that artists love to work with, which is really, I mean, again, and I think your story about standing in the stadium and, being a fan, being ready to like listen to your favorite band, and then all of a sudden your artwork, that gave me chills. Like,
Yeah.
to even consider. And I think of like, if I were standing next to you and that'd be like, wow, that artwork is amazing. They wouldn't even realize you're standing right there and you're like, I did that.
Right.
I've seen Metallica a few times on this run, and I did the main sort of shirt design for the tour, the M72. It's like a kind of exploding skull design.
Oh, yeah.
So like that's like when you go and see a show, those shirts are just everywhere. Well, I was with my wife, and she was just like, "This is like weird. Like your artwork is everywhere." And then that was that. We just got our head around that, and then it's like before they come on, then it's like there's more artwork that like there's a new screen. So it was just and they do it for like all the artists that do the tour, and it's just like
so cool.
when like I see another artist like, oh, where they like put my art on the screen, I'm just like, I'm so happy for them as well, because I know what that feels like. It's such it's like a huge pat on the back for the work.
Well, so I mean, we're already kind of coming into the back half of 2025, which is so crazy.
I know.
What is kind of looking forward, 2020, end of 2025 into 26, what's kind of coming up that's exciting for you as an artist?
What's coming up? There's a lot of stuff that I'm not allowed to talk about, unfortunately.
That you can share if you want to.
There'll be more Metallica, put it that
More
way.
Metallica.
Going into next year.
Awesome.
There's going to be obviously there'll be more work, like more Gears of War related video game work at some point coming out. There's working on this TD series at the moment, some soundtrack artwork. And then, like next year, I haven't really kind of thought that far ahead, like outside of the stuff that I can't talk about. There's a few things I'd like to do. Like, I'd quite like to sort of maybe do like some sort of exhibition at some point. I've been talking to people I know in the music industry about maybe doing something that sort of celebrates like art and music. Maybe we have like a space at a music festival here in the UK. So like I thought that'd be kind of a cool thing to do, and maybe you could have like talks like where artists would come in and talk, or maybe like artists and bands would talk together about the work that they do together. It's just like, I feel like art in music isn't celebrated enough. Because as a kid, you'd get the album, you'd look at the sleeve, and you'd pore over all this cool stuff while listening to the music. And we live in this culture now where people just load up iTunes or Spotify, and it's just a thumbnail on their phone. So I kind of like to find a way of doing that in some form. I don't know what that would be, but that's something I've kind of thought about.
That sounds really cool. Like, again, we, on our other podcast, the art and the music intersection, we show up to the shows because we love the music, but then we get the opportunity to pick up a piece of art that we get to bring home with us, put up on our walls. And every time I walk by, we get to go, oh man, that was such a good show. Do you remember this? And so that's the beauty of it. I think that there is so much more to say about how music and the gig poster art, and even just art in general, like the merch, the t-shirts, the hats, the CD cut for kids out there. There used to be a thing called CDs and cassettes, and those are making like, we have one of our kids is teenager. He's into records right now. And like, it's all about going and picking up vinyls. And so it's
like
interesting.
CDs are coming back as well, apparently. I've been told CDs are like back. Yeah.
Cassette tapes too.
I got rid of all of mine and like replaced them with vinyl.
I know.
Well, Luke, can you share with our listeners where they can find you, where they can check out more of drops or available pieces that they can pick up?
So obviously go to my website, lukepreece.com, or you can find me at Luke Preece Art on Instagram and Facebook and all the others. I'm on X, but I don't really do it, to be honest. It's not for me. Instagram kind of seems, I'm most active on Instagram.
Perfect.
And then if you want to come and see me in person, I'm going to be at the Vice Press Open House poster exhibition in Sheffield in the UK in October. So just Google that. I can't remember the exact date, but it's just like, So it's just a cool, like, it's just like it's mainly kind of like moody posters. So, but like I'm going to be there. Dan Mumford's going to be there. Matt Ferguson, who's like, I don't know if you know his work, he does a lot of moody posters, and lots of other artists. So yeah,
Well,
I'll be
that
there with like, I might have some rare posters as well with me that I've discovered in my flat file. Like, oh, I've got a few of those left that I thought I'd sold out.
Well, that sounds
So
incredible.
if you are a fan of Luke's work, definitely check that out, because if there's some
Absolutely.
rare Luke Preece pieces, that's almost like a tongue twister, by the way. That's an opportunity. That sounds incredible. Well, Luke, thank you so much for taking the time, sitting down with us, talking to us here at Best of the Tour.
Yes.
And
thank you. Yeah.
Good luck with Metallica and everything else 25 and 26 has to offer. And hopefully we'll have you back on again in the near future.
Absolutely. Thanks very much for having me. Cheers, guys.
All right, Best of the Tour listeners, it's time for the Tour Tracker.
Your guide to the shows you don't want to miss. Y'all know we love discovering new music, especially when they have amazing posters. Pixies are on the road internationally, starting in November in Japan, with stops in Australia and New Zealand, and one of our favorite states, Hawaii.
So check out their website, www.pixiesmusic.com, for more details.
If you've listened to this podcast or our other podcast, Posters in Every Direction, you may know that Mike and I are big fans of the band Goose. They are currently on their fall leg of their North American tour, with stops upcoming as soon as this Friday, September 26th in Alpharetta, Georgia, and Saturday, September 27th in Charlotte, North Carolina. If you're interested in checking out what tickets are coming up, go over to goosetheband.com/tour to see where you can pick up some tickets in a city near you. And that's your tour tracker for this episode.
Have fun out there, and we'll see you on tour. Best of the Tour is presented by Invisible Industries. Find us at www.bestofthettour.com and on all major streaming platforms, including Spotify and Apple Music. You can also catch Erica and Mike on their other podcast, Posters in Every Direction, streaming wherever you stream your podcasts from. A big thanks for listening, and we will talk to you next time.
Are you looking for some ways to get inspired and make some creative magic happen? Then you need to go stock up on art supplies. Head on over to bestofthettour.com and hit our Blick affiliate link. It's the same price, supports the show. Go check it out.
Hey, if you're like us, you love supporting the independent artists who make the art for the posters we love. So if you're looking for a new poster, look no further than shop.invisibleindustries.com. You can find their print collections, including art prints, limited edition prints, remarks, original works, and much, much more.
So go on over to shop.invisibleindustries.com to go check out what they've got in store.